Welcome back everyone, I'm Nathurow and I'm back on the scene with another video. So, I came across a video that caught my attention. It is called A Man Who Was Inside Chernobyl Reactor. Now, I have seen, of course, this was inspired by me seeing the Chernobyl miniseries that came out a couple of years ago. I mean, I know it's not the most historically accurate series out there, but nonetheless, I still enjoyed it. So I thought it'd be interesting to, you know, see a video of a man who has actually been inside the real thing. So without further ado, let's give it a shot. The video was from Anton somewhere. All right, let's give it a go.
These days, most excursions to the Chernobyl zone end here, 300 meters away from the Arch. Or in other words, a new safe confinement that covers the power unit. Basically, Block 4 resembles a matryoshka, a destroyed reactor covered by a sarcophagus, which is then covered by the new confinement. The idea to build the Arch was not a new one, and the discussion to build it began right after the initial sarcophagus. It's in our opinion that above the existing structure, when radioactive conditions are stable, we should bring up a new structure, a so-called Cover 2, which can be dismantled by future generations to resolve the issue. The results of the Arch can already be seen. This is the measurement I took in 2014, and now it reads much lower.
Good.
We'll show the Arch on the inside later on, but what's inside the actual sarcophagus? This we can't answer, because inside the deadly sarcophagus were people. The name of the person in this picture is Konstantin Chernobyl, a man who spent a lot of time above the reactor, under it, and even inside of it. According to certain documents, he was the most irradiated human being in the world. He received somewhere between 2.5 to 4 deadly doses of radiation, roughly 1500 R to 2000 R. But despite his exposure, he lived a long life given his work environment. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2012. But I still managed to meet someone else who has also been inside the sarcophagus.
Okay, so before you get to the person, I guess in case any of you are wondering what they mean about the sarcophagus, from my understanding, you know, the sarcophagus is basically just a giant covering that they put over the highly exposed radioactive area. I've actually heard that some people decided to move back into the area, the radioactive area that had been blocked off. I don't know if they're doing it legally or illegally. I don't know if maybe the property around there is being sold at a cheap price. I honestly have no idea. But apparently the area that these people are moving into are like, it's still pretty radioactive, but for whatever reason they're deciding to live there. But anyway, let's keep going.
This is Alexander Kupny, an individual who between 1988 and 2010 has been inside the NPP many times and knows exactly what is happening there right now. Ruins, equipment, broken down, ruins of building structures. All of it is coated with radiation, and fuel can be found everywhere, literally spread across the entire building. These unique shots were taken by Sergei Koshelev. This is what's inside the sarcophagus of the destroyed Block 4 of NPP. What you see now is fuel cassettes with uranium that were inside the exploded reactor. The white dots you see on the film are not a characteristic of the tape. It's radiation. And Alexander, who spent a lot of time inside, tells unbelievable stories. Radiation can't be seen, but you can see it on film, photos and videos. You can taste it. Strontium has a metallic taste. And plutonium, based on the words of those who worked in Chelyabinsk where it was handled. A friend of mine used to work there. Unfortunately, he died of cancer. But he did state that plutonium is sweet.
What? Plutonium is sweet? I would have never guessed that. I mean, not that I ever want to test that theory, but I'll take that guy's word for it. Wow.
Whether you believe it, I don't know, but you can taste it. You can also smell it. Speaking to Chernobyl, I said that it smells like ozone, and he said that Yes, by ozone we define the level of radiation intensity. Once you sense ozone, you've got to run, because it means there are levels of over 1,000 R per hour. So, air gets ionized. So, in a half an hour, you get a deadly intake. Maybe a little bit more. That's how by the smell, liquidators measured radiation. Alex is a photographer, and today I get an opportunity to show you his unique shots. The green wall on the left is the reactor's roofing, weighing in at 2,000 tons, nicknamed Elena. It blew off from the explosion and was cast aside. Alex also documented underground rooms. These stalactites are frozen nuclear fuel that leaked via steam pipes and froze under the reactor.
Damn.
This is the most famous fuel drop, a so-called elephant foot. It emitted 14,000 R per hour in 1986. It looks like an elephant's foot, hence the name. Ah, that makes sense. I see it. The people who discovered it said, "Oh, we found such a beautiful thing down here." The people always tried to see beauty in the surroundings because it keeps you positive. That could be why down there we find octopus beam, mammoth beam, mice nest, dog shed. These are all names? Yes, they're all names of constructions. People named them and personified them. Alexander Kupny shot video of fuel cells under the reactor. Now, you see that same reservoir where water had to be released by the Chernobyl divers. Part of the fuel ended up here at the time, when the reservoirs were still full of water. Luckily, there was no explosion. An explosion that Valery Legasov was so worried about, and this melted fuel just froze. Nonetheless, it's still dangerous.
Oh man, I mean, you know what? Kudos to those people that went down there to in an effort to correct this. I remember watching in the miniseries when that team went into, I think, was it to shut off the water? Hold on, I think they mentioned it right now. Let me see.
Kupny shot video of fuel cells under the reactor. Now, you see that same reservoir where water had to be released by the Chernobyl divers.
There we go. Water that had to be released by the Chernobyl divers. Again, that mission must have been, holy crap, a freaking scary ass mission, but kudos to those brave people that did it. Oh man.
Part of the fuel ended up here at the time, when the reservoirs were still full of water. Luckily, there was no explosion. An explosion that Valery Legasov was so worried about, and this melted fuel just froze. Nonetheless, it's still dangerous. It'll be dangerous for a very long time. Not because of gamma or beta, but the transuranium elements, division members of fuel, plutonium, americium, and the alpha carriers. You can't measure alpha radiation now, since it's blocked by beta and gamma. Alpha radiation is the most dangerous. Once it penetrates you, it does not come out, and it releases all its power into you. Small particles? Yes, it is difficult to remove, and it gives all its energy to you. How long does the decay take? Hundreds of thousands of years. For hundreds of thousands of years, these dangerous particles will be inside this block, if of course we don't take them out. This is why the new confinement has been built. It took me half a year to get permission to enter the arch, so it is pretty exclusive. This block will soon begin operations, and it will become impossible to get in. It is the only place where you can see the old sarcophagus. And here it is, a stone's throw away from me.
Damn.
So let's talk about the arch now. It is currently the largest moving structure on land, with a height of 110 meters, width of 257 meters, and weighing 36,000 tons. The point of the arch is to physically block the dust that will appear once we begin to dismantle it, and most importantly, to help with the dismantling of unstable structures with further extraction of fuel cells that remain within the block. To aid in deconstruction, the arch is equipped with machinery and cranes that can lift 50 tons. And so they could work with contaminated structures, separate rooms were installed. Still, it's hard to predict when this work will be initiated. The ultimate goal of this entire additional construction is to get rid of all the waste that is currently in Block 4. But how this will be done, and when, is still unknown, since there is no technique to make it a reality. This is why the arch is basically only temporary insurance that will function for the next 100 years. It secures the old structure and sarcophagus that is nearing the end of its life expectancy. Within this given period, it will either be us or our children who will have to remove the fuel cells out of the ruins of NPP.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that was a really insightful video. It just goes to show that even decades later, you know, despite all the technological advancements that have been made throughout the world, that keeping the Chernobyl crisis aftermath in check is still a very, very challenging endeavor. And he even said it's either going to be us or our children that's going to have to deal with the next step. So, wow, well, I guess we're going to have to see what happens. Well, that's all the time I have for this video. Thank you so much for joining me. If you've ever taken a tour of Chernobyl in or around the area, let me know in the comments below and let me know what your experience was like. I will catch you all in the next video. Peace out.